I've got a James Cook point to make, if you'll allow it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to refer to this as the James Cook trap.
Okay.
And it's not, if they sign him, that's a trap. This is all I want to do with this. I think that Cook is valuable. I would like him on the team. I don't think they're going to pay him 15. I think they would pay him 10, and that might be a good idea. But if they don't, I'm not thinking things are going to go wrong. But I was listening to the afternoon show yesterday, and again, this is a totally fair point to make, but what I want to do is expand it and ask how many different ways we could do this. If you talk about James Cook and you say, listen, he's good, but if he's not on the team, how many games do they win? So I want to have that exercise. First off, how many games are they going to win this year?
13.
13. If James Cook were not on the team, how many games would they win?
13.
Okay. If Spencer Brown were not on the team, how many games would they win?
13.
Okay. Connor McGovern, how many games would they win?
14. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, Connor McGovern. 13.
Okay. Dawkins. Because they said, what they're saying is, we're going to let this person walk and just replace them. By the way, in this scenario, they're not hurt. They are choosing this person to leave, and they are replacing that person next year with someone that they think can do the job. Because in a lot of these Cook scenarios, like, let them walk and then draft a guy. Right. Whether that's Ray Davis, who was drafted last year, Dawkins, 13 wins. How many would they win without Dawkins? Would their over/under move on the gambling markets?
No, not really. Maybe you'd get the smallest little change on, like, when it's like over 12. If it's over 10.5 and it's like minus 120, maybe you'd go up to or go down to like minus 105 or like something super small like that. If you don't have Dawkins, I mean, out of respect to him, I almost want to say 12.
I respect you wanting to. At this point,
but I don't want to go. Even that, I wouldn't go lower than that.
Okay,
I wouldn't say it's more than 1.
This exercise is not an attempt to disrespect any player.
I know.
Let's keep going. Khalil Shakir,
13.
Kincaid,
13.
Dawson Knox,
13.
David Edwards,
13. Yep.
Keon Coleman,
13.
Josh Palmer, Elijah Moore,
yep.
Rousseau,
13.
There's no one player that they could lose other than
Josh
that would actually make you think, if they let that player walk and replace that player with a draft pick in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Is there any other player on the team? Because the reason I want to do this is every Cook conversation is, guys, they'll win 13 games without him. And all I want to say is that true of 52 players? Or at the lowest estimate, 50?
Uh-huh. Right, on some teams, maybe part of it for me is they don't have a superstar. They don't have a guy that they are so... If, the Chiefs lost Chris Jones for the season, how many games would they win? Like, I might dock him a couple games because he is so integral to what they do. And the Bills, it's more intertwined, the whole thing. That, though, to me, doesn't mean that some guys wouldn't be easier to withstand an injury to the others. And also a combination of a couple of guys. Like, for me, if I start losing, this is really how it happens. Your win totals and your expectation doesn't really start changing until it starts to become, all right, now it's 4 injuries.
Sure.
It's 5 injuries.
But I'm not doing injuries. I'm doing planned departure. And replaced. Because that's what Cook would be.
Yeah.
Planned departure and replaced. And if Ray Davis is the starter when Cook leaves, that would be possibly something where they look and say, like, listen, Jimbo's going to be up for a contract. We're probably not going to pay him big money if he puts up big numbers, so let's have some bodies here that we like. And Ray Davis was a 4th-round pick last year that they could have seen this coming.
Right.
So all I'm really trying to get at is it's partially about what you said about replacement of players. Really what it all comes down to is everybody has the most possible faith in the quarterback that you could possibly have.
Yeah.
It's almost like every stat for the Bills is a Josh Allen stat. Like every conversation is a Josh Allen conversation. And that's this too. I'm not telling you that everyone I just named has no value. I think they all, of course, do. And part of the Bills' appeal or part of the Bills' approach is the sum of the parts, right? The whole is greater than the sum of the parts. It's kind of the offense they want to run. It's Allen and a hole that's greater than, well, who cares if you don't know about Palmer? Who cares if you don't have too much respect for the interior line? Like what they've put together as a full unit has been great, and superstars, schmooperstars, like whatever. I just think the conversation when it turns to Cook, when you start to say that, well, they just win 13 games without him. Any single player isolated like that, you probably feel the same. So then I get to, all right, well, what's different about the 13? And really, do the 13 matter, or is it the 3 they have to win in the postseason? And the 4 that they have to win in the postseason?
I do think that is different. I do think that it can feel different because your sample size is a lot smaller, and I don't know, it does feel like Cook though is coming off of an AFC Championship game where he was, other than Allen, the best player on the Bills. What do you have, 130 yards in that game? And he had, of course, the almost iconic touchdown. They would have had to win the game. It would have been an iconic touchdown.
He had 13 for 85 and 2 touchdowns.
Didn't he have a lot receiving?
And he had 49 receiving yards.
There you go. So over 100 yards in the game.
He was huge in that game.
Yeah. So
13. I want to really key in on the 13 for 85.
Yeah.
Isn't that a part of what they really want to be too? You could talk about what they'd win in the regular season. Let's say they get the 1 seed. They run the ball and they want to be a running team. And these other teams that want to be a running team, like Philadelphia and Baltimore, they do not say, whoever's up next is fine. They say, we need the best guy we can get. And maybe the Bills don't want to pay that amount of money, and they probably should not. But
or maybe if they do, is there room here for they just don't think he is a superstar running back? That's it. Like, they think he's good, but they would attribute more of his success to, well, yeah, you play behind an amazing offensive line and you play in an offense with Josh Allen and you always have light boxes.
Yeah.
Of course you're going to average 5 yards a carry and score 16 touchdowns. And I usually frame the conversation more around, well, the Bills would never want to spend $15 million on a running back. Maybe they would. Maybe the guy just has to be, next year Jonathan Taylor's a free agent.
Thank you. I was just looking up the free agent the free agent running backs next year.
Yeah.
Where if they fall short and they let Cook walk, they're not going to give Cook 15, but they'll give Jonathan Taylor 15.
Right, exactly.
Would they do that?
Would they be saying, okay, like, you know what, we would spend $15 million on running back, and they're talking about, like, should we give it to James? Should we go $15 million? And somebody in that room goes, guys, why don't we just give that same amount of money to Jonathan Taylor next year? Now, you are breaking up the room a little bit. Yeah, how does that feel in the building? Because they are very, sign, develop your players, and, the fabric of the team is very important, and the culture of the team. Like, would it sit well with everybody on the Bills that this guy worked hard, improved his game, did what the coaches asked of him, did all of that, and then at the end of the day they said, yeah, we think there's another guy who's better than you?
Oh, that's...
And should that even matter to them? There's a very good argument that shouldn't even matter to them, that if some players went, man, that's kind of dirty how they did James there.
Did they not just do that to Mac Hollins to some degree?
Unless Mac Hollins wanted to leave.
Well,
because he's a nomad.
But did everything, and contract time came, and they thought, like, no thanks. Gabe Davis they did this with. So there's no doubt that they're willing to say, we've got
Tremaine Edmonds.
We've got our limits.
Yeah, but those guys, they never turned around and then threw a big contract. Like in this hypothetical, maybe is it any different? Maybe it's not. I'm setting it up as
you're saying let a player walk
James,
and pay the position.
Right. We think a dude on another team is worth it. We don't think you're worth it.
Gotcha.
And how that kind of would sit with everybody. Now, again, I don't really think they have to care about it, though, because what would happen in that circumstance? They'd pay Jonathan Taylor, and within a month...
Would they win 13 games?
They're all going to love Jonathan Taylor.
And would they win 13 games? It's the same?
Yes.
But all that matters are the
Are they going to beat the
4.
Chiefs? But are they going to beat the Chiefs in the playoff game?
Dennis in Lockport. Hey, Dennis, good morning.
Hey, I like your game there. guys, you know what? There's another scenario here, and I'd rather say, how do we do in the playoffs without these guys? Because honestly, last year, according to every sports analysis guys out there, we weren't even supposed to be in the playoffs because we lost Diggs and all Gabe Davis and Poyer and all that. And look how well we did. So the team was able to recover from that, but we got to make sure we go to the playoffs, and that's what we produce. Yes, Cook had a good series, but I think a Jonathan Taylor would do just as well behind that line. And Cook should look at what happened to his brother. His brother was a superstar. He went to a team that didn't support him. And when was the last time we heard about Dalvin Cook?
Well,
that's my point.
Cook, that didn't exactly happen with Cook. Cook got paid. I mean, if he's following his brother's plan, his brother held out, got the big contract, and then was out of the league somewhat soon after that. But Dalvin Cook is a case for James Cook to, hey, do whatever you do to get, a check for $50 million, and then, if your career ends quickly, so be it. Because this league will chew you up and spit you out, especially at the running back position. So, Cook, his time was with the Vikings. The Vikings paid him. Then
I think he had one more good year, and then that was it.
And then he went to Dallas, or no, he did the Jets.
The Jets, and then the Cowboys last year, he's done nothing.
Yeah, but he signed a 5-year, $63 million extension.
Do you have the date on that? When they signed it?
2020.
2020. Okay, so maybe he had 2 years. He had 2 big years after that.
Okay,
but 2 years into a 5-year contract. That is the fabric of running backs. That is why. I like James Cook as a player. The reason I would not pay him if I'm Brandon Beane is that point. You never are going, unless you are Derrick Henry, you are not going to, that contract is never going to be a good idea for you. It's never going to end up working out well. You're going to be eating a dead cap figure in 3 years for $12 million because the guy's 29 years old. He's not any good anymore.
On Dalvin. There's 2 Cooks here. Cash by year for Dalvin Cook. This is the life of a running back, okay? Year 1, $3 million. Year 2, $750,000. Year 3, $1 million. He's 3 years in the league. He holds out. He gets his new contract. Year 4 cash, $16.4 million. Not cap hit, cash. So if you're James Cook and your brother calls you, he says, in my first 3 years, I made less than $5 million. Then I got a check for 16 in one season, or basically not one check, but you know what I'm saying. And he never made close to 16 again, but he got the 16 for a career earnings of $41 million along the way.
Right.
So it's just the players will never get mad at the players for looking to get paid. Every player knows that you're in this professionally to make money. So, that part of it I wouldn't worry about. To your point about Cook and regretting that and dead cap. They're dead cap. I'm kind of arriving at this spot. It is not a thing to be feared. Dead cap is not actually money you pay. It's money you've already paid. The Bills didn't pay Diggs $26 million to not be on the team. That was what their books said. What they did was paid him those $26 million in the previous seasons when he was on the team. So, your cap hit for a player might be $5 million, but you're paying them a lot more than that. And dead cap sometimes it's sold as a mistake, and it is a mistake if you go out and give Russell Wilson $250 million and then cut him in a year. That's a mistake. But for some of these players that you sign, whoever they are, if by year 4 they're done and you're eating $7 million in dead cap, that might have been part of your arithmetic to begin with. Hey, let's just do this so we can have it now. And $7 million dead cap in the year 2030. Let me tell you how much teams should worry about that. Not at all. It's not even a thing. You run up this credit card debt, but you keep getting a higher salary to pay it with. The cap going up so much. These teams like to try to act like they can't spend as much as they do. What can we do? We got so much dead cap. To a point, it is there as a limiter, but the cap is whatever. It's so flexible that I think that so many teams would be building that right into any decision that they make.
But that's a good counter, and that's a reason why the void year conversation comes up too, because you can really massage all that stuff no matter any way you want.
Like Joey Bosa will have dead cap next year.
Oh yeah,
if he's gone, he'll have a cap hit of 7.2.
right.
Dead cap
to not be on, and that's pre-planned because they know that.
Right,
unless he signs an extension.
Right. So that's the kind of thing where it's not a mistake. It's what they decide to do. His base salary this year is 3. His cap hit is 5.3.
I guess then, like, it's not just that though. For me, it's also you don't know when he's not going to be good anymore. And you can say that about any player, but running back, it just happens so quickly when the wheels start to fall off. And how much pressure would they feel like they're under to keep going out with him as the starter when they probably could do a bunch of things that would be a lot better? Even, like, I guess if I knew, hey, they've got it in them and they have a desire like to have a star running back in this offense now because they play offense differently.
Yep.
That when Brian Daboll's the offensive coordinator and they're throwing the ball 75% of the time, that in that offense, no, we're not paying a running back. But now, now they're running it more. And now the line is really good. And they just saw what happened with Saquon Barkley. And they might think, we want a little bit of that. And they have a little bit of that. But maybe they want all of that. Maybe they want a Barkley. And I would say to that, okay, then James Cook's not your guy.
Right.
He's a good running back, a very good running back. But if you want to explode your run game the way that the Eagles did last year, then you're looking for a freak running back. And there are only a couple.
Yeah.
There's Henry, there's Barkley, and McCaffrey when he's healthy. And like, would you even put Jonathan Taylor in that boat? He's been that once, at least. So you maybe in this offense he would be.
One other thing I would say about this, I started this off with like the James Cook trap, how we're talking about him in a way we don't talk about other players.
Yeah.
Like, if this guy were gone. Do that on snap counts too. Well, he doesn't play all 3 downs. Okay, the offensive line plays all the downs. Who else does? The secondary does. The receivers don't. I mean, Shakir doesn't. Shakir snap count.
The corners do.
The corners. But like, think of all their rotations.
That's kind of it actually. It's secondaries, linebacker, and offensive line.
And that's it. And everybody else is rotating a lot.
Even linebackers a little bit.
What was Shakir's snap percentage? Like 61% last year? He's not playing a ton of snaps. And what's Kincaid's snap count? What's Dawson Knox's snap count?
It's not 100.
No. So am I only doing that with James Cook? Where he's the only one I'm going to treat like, what could I do without him? I'd be fine without him. You'd be fine without a lot of guys because it's all about Josh Allen. But the snap count thing is there too. He doesn't play every down. Who does? Benford does. Bernard does. Rousseau? No. Vaughn, of course, didn't. They gave Vaughn $120 million, and that wasn't a play every down guy. They draft defensive ends, and those guys aren't play every down guys. So it's whatever. I do think it's an interesting conversation. I just wanted to bring up a little bit on Cook and more calls on this. We got a couple callers. Jay, if you can stick with us, we'll get to your call on the other side. We got to get a break.